y'all, I'm Ellen. We've been super inspired by our journeys of self-healing and discovery.
And I'm Sam, and we want to share our experiences with you to help you get curious about yourself, reconnect, and get intentional about your life so you know what makes you happy.
Welcome to Woo New, the podcast. Hey y'all, welcome back to Woo New. So we had a podcast episode planned for this week, but in light of everything that's been happening, all the protests and the riots and stuff, Sam and I just wanted to kind of put together an episode that covered our own personal response to what's been going on and just how we have started taking actions in our own ways to do a lot of reflection work and to do a lot of educating, like self-educating. Full disclaimer here, we are not educators. We're not trained professionals in this subject. So we're coming to you guys as two people who are also experiencing this happening and processing it in real time and just stumbling through it and trying to figure out kind of where we sit, what our own views are, what our own prejudices are, all these things. So we wanted to have this episode really purely to share with you kind of where our heads are at, and in the hopes that maybe it'll help to also inspire you as you go through your own series of actions and ways to educate yourself.
Yeah, it's for me so important to just keep having the conversation so that we don't get lost in the media of it all, and we remember that like doing anything to take action is so important.
And it's something that we can all do. It's like I think as I was starting to go through, first definitely on social media, just reading what people are posting and listening and hearing those conversations, but then also starting to dig into other places, I started realizing just how much information and education there was out there on anti-racism.
Yeah, these resources have been around for years and years, like decades probably. And I was a little bit overwhelmed at first, but then I was so grateful because I was like, these things are right at our fingertips. What a gift that we can use these resources and that we can educate ourselves, because it's a huge responsibility.
Yeah. And it sucks that it has to get to this point before any of us are sort of, opening it all up and really wanting to dive in. But here we are. And so I'm just glad that it's happening now. I kind of almost want to just even start off by talking a little bit about our personal responses to what has been going on and what we've been seeing and feeling and, all of that too. You want to start, Sam?
Yeah, sure. When I first started reading news about the riots, I was heartbroken. I just cried. I could not believe the things that I was seeing. It was like, where did humanity go? It was, and I was just, then it was spun, and it's like I've been doing this emotional roller coaster of being like so sad and heartbroken, and then feeling just anger and rage and wanting to lash out, and then sort of collecting myself again and being like, okay, what can I control? I can control me, and I can do the inner work on myself, and I can always continue to put effort into that because it will never end, because we've been conditioned, and start asking the questions around how these systems came to be. And because they're institutionalized, understanding how we can start to rebuild new systems that are built on equality.
It seems so long ago now, but I started following the George Floyd story, like pretty much the day that it was announced. I mean, I think Sean King, I always go to him for my information or my news about a lot of this stuff. And I think it was last Monday that he even posted about it. And like, I'll be honest, like the first thought was like, fuck this, another instance of this. But it's almost become so numb, because it happens so damn much that, it hits me at first, but then it quickly like sort of almost dissipates into the ether. And that's how, I kind of took the news. And then, and this is on a very, very personal level. Like I heard he was from Houston. And I think that honestly was what actually drew me into the story a little bit more. I mean, like the injustice of it all, and hearing how these policemen literally murdered him, and it was insanely difficult to read. But I hate to say it, like I literally was just kind of like, add another one to the pile. It sucks. It really fucking sucks that it had that sort of numbing effect on me, until I found out that there was like a connection to my hometown,
Yeah. Well, and it's easy to, fall back on sort of the things that we subconsciously do to handle, traumatic information like that. And especially if you're just reading it, it's easy to sort of like shut down to it. I hadn't read anything about it, and I just played the video, and then I crumbled. And I was like, oh my God, I can never go back. It was devastating.
Yeah. I don't even think I've been able to see the full video yet. I've been like kind of receiving the news in written form. And I know that one of these days, or probably soon, I will go back and actually watch the video itself. But I think part of it is just, yeah, it's like, I need to be brave enough to actually watch it. It really, really sucks. That I feel this sort of inability to kind of even go there. But I have since, seen so much other shit that like is enraging, from just the police brutality across all of these protests and riots and things like that. That, I don't know, it's making me question my own sort of like tendency to want to turn a blind eye to this stuff. Like that's becoming very, very loud and clear to me. And it's only in this moment that I'm starting to really force myself to confront it too, when I don't think I really truly had in the past. Like, yeah, you would read the news stories and stuff, but for it to hit on a more emotional and personal level, like I went to a protest today, and in downtown, that was organized by the Black clergy. And man, I just stood there and I just cried, because it was really powerful, and you just kind of felt the pain that everybody's going through. And like, it's very much in me too. It's like, and I'm starting to get emotional even talking about it. But yeah, I mean, I'm clearly like still processing a lot of this stuff, but I had to really check myself to accept and admit that I haven't fully been paying attention.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big moment for me too. It's hard to put into words, but watching that video, for me, like the worst part about it was just like the blatant ignorance, and like the blatant like of these policemen, just like bystanders were standing around calling out for him to like take his knee off of George Floyd's neck, and he just ignored them, and the response was just to like tell everybody to calm down. And like as soon as I finished seeing the video, I was just like, when is enough enough? when does this stop? This has to stop.
Yeah.
And it was in that moment for me too that I was like, I know that this is just one of probably hundreds of thousands of examples, and like, this cannot go on.
Yeah. So I think as I've been processing, it's been a lot of just like searching internally, like really kind of putting myself in the fire and asking myself the hard questions of like, have I really even done this work, or have I even really like thought about what my privilege actually looks like, or what
Yeah.
it actually is, how I define it, what are my own prejudices, all these different questions that, as somebody who, meditates daily and would consider herself somebody who's like fairly in touch with myself, I guess, or starting to become so. It was very glaring for me to realize that I hadn't done any of this, and it's something that an event like this starts bringing up all those questions that you've kind of turned a blind eye to for the majority of your life. Um, and so when we talk about things like how do you take action, for me, it starts with myself. It starts with like truly asking myself the hard questions of, um, yeah, where do my own like unconscious biases lie?
Yeah. Or taking a step back and just thinking about like, where have I benefited from the color of my skin?
Mhm.
Even if it wasn't overtly so. And it's like the list is unending almost. And it made me really take a step back and be like, okay, I need to really look at the things that I take for granted in my life
Mhm.
and figure out like why and how I can honor them more, and how I can examine my own biases, both unconscious and conscious, through that lens and figure out like how I can do better.
There's this I think it's been trending. I saw it on Facebook, but I'm sure it's elsewhere, but it's the photo of a black man walking with his daughter and their dog, and he had posted about how he actually feels safest walking with his daughter, because if he was just walking by himself, he knows he gets the suspicious looks and the glares and the people who are just sort of assuming that he's not where he is supposed to be. And you have this like, she's like 6 or 7 years old, like this little girl who is basically almost kind of like his shield, because it makes it okay for him to like walk in the neighborhood. And it's just a really, really eye-opening post that just, I went through this exercise of just listing out all the things that defines my privilege. And then I saw that post, and yeah, it's like on the top of my list was just being able to walk outside, even as a woman, a woman of color, and not be harassed by authority figures is like huge.
Yeah, I that's that actually directly ties to like, I recently watched this documentary called The Talk on Amazon Prime, I think, and it's all about how Black children and children of families from lower incomes, they all have to have these conversations with their children about, they have to have this talk that they call the talk about how to deal with police and how to get through a police interaction without getting arrested or shot.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the way it was just like my heart was so broken, but it was also just like, I need to really examine the things that are happening in my own world, in my own conditioning, in my own thought processes, like where have I been closed minded that I need to really check and like really think through what that does to hurt someone else.
I also think that you know, going through the weekend, seeing the riots, the violence in the riots turning into looting, all these kinds of things. And, you know, it's really difficult to know what exactly is going on, and to know who is doing what, you know. And there was just like a ton of judgment being unleashed on just the entire pool of people that were out, whether they're protesting or looting, you know. Um, and I think for me, it made me realize like the work that you and I had started doing even 2 years ago, where, you know, it's been a lot of inner work, a lot of like self-discovery, and again, asking ourselves the hard questions, uncovering shadows, all that kind of stuff. It just made me realize that like it's moments like these where that work really does come to sort of shine out, I guess. Um, you know, where I started realizing that it's really easy to throw judgment and shade at all these people who are, you know, just being outspoken and feeling their rage and feeling their anger. Um, and while I don't feel like I could personally condone the looting that's going on, and I do find that like there are ways to exercise our freedom of speech. I also feel like I have no place to judge, you know, like I can't say anything, you know, that is right or wrong or whatever. It's just I feel like from my personal point of view, like I just all I can do is really just silently hold space for
Yeah.
everyone to feel what they need to feel, you know, and to not try to like get them to a better place, you know, or say that they should be in a better place when they aren't right now. It's just a matter of just holding space for everyone.
Yeah. That's a that was a big point for me too. Like I felt like over the weekend, I just all I could think about was just like just listen, just
Mhm.
be there. And that is it. Just exactly what you said. Just hold space and like because there is nothing else I can do except support
Yeah,
because the things that led up to these moments go back for decades and there is nothing that could make it right in this moment for anyone.
exactly. What are some of the places that you started looking to in order to educate? Because I know that, you know, we're sort of at that this is again, this is not going to be solved in a week, month, or whatever. This is just the beginning of really uncovering and learning and, you know, trying to understand why we are experiencing this and ways that we can also take action to change. But I feel like in order for us to like you can't have a solution until you understand the problem. And so right now it's a time of just silently like almost drinking from the fire hose, so to speak, but like learning as much as possible, as many and like taking in, listening, taking in as much as possible so that we just all have a better understanding of these different perspectives and the root causes of why we are experiencing what we're experiencing. So what
Yeah.
are some of the places that you're looking at?
Uh, so there are actually a handful of books that I'm about to start reading and that I think are going to be incredibly illuminating. One that I'm particularly excited about reading is called How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram Kendi. And this book, I mean, the title is catchy, but the book is all about transforming and re-energizing the conversation around racism to figure out like how the system to really learn more about how the system was created so that when we start focusing our efforts on how to make a change, we can rebuild new systems based on equality. So that one I'm actually really excited about. And there are a ton of resources in all of the Instagram handles too for so many of like the creatives and the artists and the thought leaders that all of those resources already exist, just takes like clicking into their profiles just to get a little bit more information. And one of those that I've been following too is Color of Change, because I also signed their petition. And as I was going through their content, I was like, this is such important. These messages are so important that I don't want to miss them. And I also don't just want to like check in and sign a petition and check out. I want to like learn.
The really, really wonderful thing about them too is that they have a full directory, like a cohesive directory of prosecutors across the country that you can go to and find out what's in your, your county or district or whatever. And it's like a gold mine that I didn't even realize. And I want to say that this is the only place where this information is amassed.
Yeah. And they make it so easy to find it. I mean, it's just like an incredible resource for all the things.
They have 6 demands that they're putting out there. One is to end like money bail, another treat kids like kids, another stop unnecessary prosecutions, end secrecy of prosecutor data, stop anti-immigration prosecutions, and hold police accountable. So this is basically kind of their mission rolled into these 6 demands. But they're an incredible group and movement. It's like a wealth of information right there.
Yeah, it's been really, really enlightening, and it's like that's really all I needed, because as soon as I got into that, it was like, oh, I was like looking up all these books, and I was, it took me into all of these other articles, and it was just like an endless resource.
That's awesome.
What have you been doing?
Well, I have actually started just searching for Black teachers, and Brene Brown actually put together a list.
Her list, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's like, I think 6 to 8 people. And so I had actually been following half of them, but the others I started following. But the ones I do want to call out right now, only because they have such like information ready to just be consumed. Rachel Cargle, she's a writer, she's an activist, she's an educator. She has a TEDx talk that you can find on YouTube around ancestral accountability that I started to watch. And she has this free 30-day course that offers daily information, community, and conversation around ways that we all can be actively and intentionally anti-racist. And so to me, I feel like, I just want to start there. I like signed up for it and I downloaded it. So that's something that I want to go through.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited you just told me about that, because I'm totally going to do it too.
Yeah. And all this shit is free. It's like, and it's been free for like years. So I appreciate these teachers so much. And there's definitely guilt in me that I feel like they put this out there, this information out there for us in such a ready to consume way that I wish I had felt the fire to consume it, sooner. Rachel Ricketts, also super popular, thousands and thousands of followers. She's also an activist and speaker. She's a healer and writer. She has a huge, huge online resource of just like links after links after links to just educate yourself. And so I stumbled across her website. Like usually I'll just kind of like, follow the Instagram feeds, but I went onto her website and there's this whole section of just like online resources that could probably take you a year just to go through.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's incredible. And then I was actually just made known of this fairly new organization that my friend Ruby is a founding member of, called Loud, or the Loud Community. So they're a member-based league of women and non-binary folk who are committed to creating a world that they want to see through community-driven transformation. and they're out there to cultivate joy through friendship, self-development, and access to information. And they have this monthly zine that they just started doing called Loud Ass Voices. I just subscribed to it today, and I think their intention is really just to elevate voices in their community, like within their members. And you'll read and hear different stories. And I think this is just a really great way to access those perspectives, especially if your community or your circles don't necessarily include people of color, which I think there's a lot of people where that is the case. But I really highly recommend that also as a place, not to, it's like not directly like anti-racism kind of information, but it's all just like being able to um, just relate, and hear and listen about these lives that we may not necessarily have personal access to within our friend circles.
Yeah, I love that. I am gonna follow them right now.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome. Again, this is very new to me, and I'm glad that Ruby shared that with me today. But it's a cool community. It just shows me that there's so many of these like grassroots kind of like organizations that are in existence or are being formed as we speak. And this is on the local level, so I feel like if you look, you will find them.
And they're not hard to find.
No.
Yeah. And that's a huge part too of just sort of going beyond just, hashtag Blackout Tuesday.
Right,
and
right.
And making a difference, and also investing in your own community and the communities of everyone affected by all of this racial injustice, and like helping build systems to support everyone equally. Like that's where the connection right there is, which is really exciting, I think, to see that everyone is waking up to that, including myself.
Yeah, same. She also sent me this article that Obama put out. I think it was just a couple of days ago, but it was really talking about like the title of the article is How to Make This Moment the Turning Point for Real Change. Most of you guys have probably read it. But it actually, this was again all news to me because I'm just like honestly not educated on the subject matter. But he was talking about the local level being really where voting matters because it's the local level that makes the decisions, like within the mayors and the county execs, the DAs, the state attorneys, that actually directly impact police reform. And that's just something that I personally just was not aware of,
Yeah, I didn't read the full article, but I did read some excerpts that he posted on Instagram, and that was a huge red flag for me, especially in a place that I was like, okay, I have blatantly disregarded my responsibility at the local level. Like I need to do far more research, and not only through everything that's coming up now with the riots and the protests, but with COVID too. It's like it's so clear now how important our mayors and our senators are, and that we need to really be informed when we're voting for them.
I know. I like this is the information that for me, honestly, like I found it difficult to find to learn, for some reason, like who these people are, especially when, it's time to vote. And so I know for me, like the first level is just like kind of reading up and learning about who's actually in office right now, like cuz I truly don't even know.
Absolutely. And the other super important thing I want to highlight about what Obama put out was a link that we can also include in the notes, but policing.civilrights.org/toolkit, where people can go and learn about their civil rights and ask questions and engage in conversations around like what's happening now and how we can start to make changes for the better, and also just to get informed about exactly what your rights are.
Mhm. There's also a bunch of places that you can donate, which is something that I've been seeing literally all throughout Instagram right now. Like everybody has their list of places to donate. I personally donated to Sean King's Grassroots Law Project. I want to say that they just launched today, but I mean, they have been sort of like in the picture for a little while. But the money that I donated goes directly to bail money for protesters. And you could select which cities you want to donate to or have your donation be split evenly across, I think it's 5 or 6 different cities.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The Loveland Foundation is also an incredible organization. They're a therapy fund for Black women and girls, which hit home personally for me a lot. My little sister used to work for the rape crisis hotline, and when COVID hit, she and I had this really, really heavy conversation about how, with the stay-at-home orders, women and children who are battered are stuck at home.
Yeah.
And they don't have anywhere to go to find safety, and in particularly to even talk about it. So I donated to the Loveland Foundation, and I also donated to the George Floyd Memorial Fund because just I had to.
Yeah, same. I know. I think the last time I checked, or at least when I donated, I think they had raised 6 million. And I heard that just yesterday it may be as far up as like 10. I'm not sure, but it's good. I'm really happy to see that people are kind of taking action that way.
Absolutely. And this goes along too with the voting, but also I feel like sign the petitions. These are really important too, because voting matters, and it's huge because that's about who goes into office, but the petitions help us affect the decisions that the people in office make now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I signed it's justiceforbigfloyd.com, I believe.
Yeah, I signed that one too.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's so many right now that
Yeah. I also signed the change.org. So you can find their petition on Instagram at change.org. Dot is spelled out DOT.
So again, I mean, I think both of us are really just beginning our process of educating ourselves and doing this inner work specifically around our own self-reflection of privilege and what that means and all these things. I mean, even before reaching out for a website link or a book or whatever, I really do think that we can all at least start the process of doing this self-reflection work at home. And just getting really conscious about, where you stand and what your privilege actually does look like.
Yeah.
And becoming a lot more sensitive, like it really is a growing in consciousness and sensitivity. I would consider myself a sensitive person, but clearly I had and have a ton of blind spots.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is they are blind spots because a lot of these systems have normalized this kind of bias and these kinds of prejudices. And if, especially myself, if I feel like I'm stumbling through it and I can't find the words, it's because like I'm a little bit ashamed to even say that like I should have been more involved in this sooner and more active sooner and more educated. But I'm starting now. And so, we're really just getting into it and just starting the process. So, and it's one that's never going to end.
Yeah, truly. I mean, this is also a lifetime kind of journey too. And as little or as much as you can do, it's still something, So it's just a matter of like, again, not turning a blind eye the way I have in the past and really looking at these issues and looking at what's happening and not being afraid to watch the videos and not being afraid to seek out the information, and confronting them, or allowing yourself to be confronted by them.
Yeah, because for this change to take place, a lot of really hard work is about to start happening, and a lot of really, really hard, ugly conversations are going to come up because They just will. But that's the work.
Yeah, exactly. It's messy, and
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot of, I think, pain and guilt and shame coming through, as you know, I already have felt for myself
Yeah.
too. But it's important, and like any inner work, you know, this is just another piece of it. So yeah, I think the best thing that we can do is really just to, again, hold space and support each other in learning, and put a lot of this information that we're personally going through in the show notes for you. And just to keep the dialogue and the conversations going too, because
silence is the killer here.
Yeah. And honestly, I can't remember the last conversation I've had among my family or friends. You know, I mean, it comes through, you know, every now and then, like, you know, what's happening on the news, and especially around our like brothers and sisters in the Black community getting murdered. But it's been a while, you know, like, and so I ask myself why we aren't talking about it more, and why that's not happening, you know? And so I think that's part of it, is just, again, growing in consciousness and not turning a blind eye to it.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening. And again, we're here to support however we can. We're learning alongside with you guys. So would love to hear what you guys think and what you're doing also to educate yourselves.
And if you guys find any new resources or really helpful things, like, we'd love to hear about them, or especially local programs. You know, Ellen's based in the LA area, and we're both in Southern California. So, like, we want to get involved and we want to help.
Thanks, guys.
Music for Woo New is composed by Adam Miller.